Samsung Fold 5 is finally in my hands, and I really don't know how to feel. On one hand, it's shiny, sleek, shimmery, new. I mean, it's a foldable. What else can you possibly want? But I kind of miss the simplicity of the iPhone, and here's why. Now, don't get it twisted. It's not all bad. You come from a small section of the display to a huge phone, and it looks amazing. At least until you hit what I like to call fingerprint alley. It seems as if a toddler had this phone in his hands and just started pressing all of his fingers on the display all at once. If you get this phone, just make sure that you get ready to have a cloth with you at all times to wipe off that display, especially if you want it to look good at all times, like myself. But allow me to take you to the land before time. Well, the time before fingerprints, when I initially unboxed it. In a standard black box with Galaxy Fold Z5 written on the bottom in white, and of course a shadowy figure of the Galaxy Fold 5 displayed in a darker black on that said box. After a couple of swipes with my unboxed therapy knife, which is very sharp by the way, if I may add, I am greeted with a USB-C to USB-C cable, which matches perfectly with the phone. I also get a SIM ejection tool and a bunch of other paperwork that I don't really need to look over at all. Maybe you do, you check it out, but I didn't. I threw it away. Then we are met with the phone, and man, this is my first time seeing a Fold in person, and I must say this is a beautiful phone straight out of the box. It is shining, and might I add, it has no fingerprints at this particular time. I literally sat there, took a second to take it all in before I got my first Fold on, and I remembered people telling me not to touch the screen, so I tried not to do that. I went from the bottom of the screen and then made my first Fold, and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. What a beautiful phone. One thing that you're going to learn about my channel and how I do the process, I don't care too much about specs. I know some people like to hear about the specs, but I like to talk about how the phone makes me feel, the experience with the phone, how it looks, how I enjoy it on a day-to-day basis, which is why I never, hardly ever talk about specs. But enough about specs or the lack thereof. I did come around to turning on the phone, and it looked beautiful. And I know this is just a welcome page or whatever, but it looked beautiful. It was a beautiful phone, man. And I know it's all shiny and brand new, but I think this will look great for years to come, minus those fingerprints, of course. Now here's a side-by-side comparison with the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And before you guys get started, I know these are two different types of phones, but just for comparison's sake, because the 14 Pro Max is, in my opinion, the best phone out on the market, I did want to do side-by-side comparison just so you guys can, see what it looks like. Okay, now here's me with a black brick on the side of my face. Well, not quite, but I would suggest getting a Bluetooth because there's nothing inconspicuous about this phone being on the side of your face. Mobile gaming. I remember at one time I thought the iPad Pro was the best solution for portable mobile gaming with its big small display and of course the controller that I could just toss in a bag, but boy was I wrong. With the Samsung Fold 5, not only do I have a large display, but it's small enough to fit in my pocket when folded, and the controller can also go into my cargo pockets. Gaming just hit a whole new level for me with this phone. And something that's a little bit more impressive is AirTag detection. I was just rolling around and I got an alert on my phone saying that an AirTag was following me. Of course, I looked into it and I did realize that the AirTag was in my wallet, but it is good to know that if someone tries to slip an AirTag on me in my car and try to follow me, that hey, I can find them. Not only can I find them, I can make the AirTag make noise to track the AirTag down. Pretty awesome. And speaking of protection, you're gonna want to protect this $1,800 investment with a case. And the case that I went with was the body glove case for the Fold 5, of course. This case comes with a kickstand and it is very, grippy. It does mention that it is a slim protection, but I am here to tell you that it is quite bulky, and with this particular case on, you are gonna have issues with pressing buttons on the front display, particularly that side little button that you gotta get into the crevices of it. I only could get it when I turned the phone sideways, which was not good at all. The case does seem to be made of some quality materials, and I don't see my fold actually breaking with this particular case on. So I do think that I made a good decision by getting this particular case, considering that I, for one, do not want the S Pen at all because it's not Bluetooth, so it didn't make sense to get that particular case. Something to remember is that the kickstand will only sit in this particular angle, no other angles. If you do get it to another angle, just realize that there is a potential of it falling. Trust me, I know this from experience, but overall it does seem like a good case to have. I did enjoy having the ability to have Facebook, Instagram, and Google open at the same time. I was able to do multiple things at the same time, which improved my productivity and made this phone even more of a game changer. Now, keep in mind, doing something like this will drain your battery, and I'm here to tell you that the battery on this particular phone when doing anything that is stressful is terrible. Charging speeds are okay, so that makes it okay, but just know if you're out and about taking pictures, videoing, or doing any of these multitasking things, battery life is going to suffer because of that. Now, I do understand that there are implementations by Samsung that allows your phone to learn your use cases and therefore improve the battery, but I haven't hit that stage yet. So as of right now, the battery is completely trash. Who is this phone for? Well, I cannot actually answer that question. The question that I can answer is, who is this phone not for? And this phone is definitely not for a casual user because of the front display. Unless you have small fingers and you like narrow displays, which I can't think of another phone that has a narrow display, do not get this phone. Now, if you're getting this phone because of the super beautiful tech that it provides with the folding ability of a phone, then this is the phone for you to get. If you're the person that is trying to stay on a budget, this is not the phone for you. If you already have an iPhone or a S23 and it's comfortable for you and you want to squeeze in a second line and you have the funds available, of course, this is the phone for you. But again, if you are a casual user, I do not think that you should get this phone. But after 3 days of using this phone and going through the settings, etc., I do miss the simplicity of Apple, and I have expressed so in social media platforms. Shout out to everybody that's subscribed already. And if you found this video useful or informative,
surprise, motherfucker.
Man, I can't wait till iPhone 15 Pro Max comes out. Good phone though, good phone.
Perfect.